The silence in the council chamber felt heavy. Ambassador Thalen finally spoke, his voice skeptical. Words and images can be manipulated. You show us pictures and tell us stories. But where is your proof that humans are truly adapted to these conditions? Jiwan nodded. She had expected this. A fair question. Would a physical demonstration be acceptable? Council Director Krill considered this. His metal fingers drummed on the armrest of his seat, making a rhythmic clicking sound. What kind of demonstration? Allow one of our soldiers to show you what the human body can do. No tricks, no hidden technology. Just a human performing normal activities for our species. Krill looked around the chamber, gauging the reactions of other delegates. Most seemed curious. A few looked afraid. Very well. But this demonstration will be monitored. Any sign of deception and humanity's membership in this council will be questioned. Understood, Jiwan said. She touched her communication device. Send in Captain Minho. A door at the side of the chamber opened. A man walked in, and immediately several delegates gasped. Captain Minho was not particularly large by human standards, standing about 180 centimeters tall. His body was lean and muscular, visible even under his gray military uniform. But what startled the aliens was the way he moved. Each step was precise, controlled, predatory. His eyes scanned the chamber with the alertness of a hunter. Minho reached the platform and stood beside Jiwan. He bowed slightly to the council. Honored delegates, Captain, Krill said. You will demonstrate human physical capabilities. But first, remove any enhancement technology. No powered armor, no strength amplifiers, no chemical boosters. Minho smiled. I'm not wearing any, Director. What you see is standard human biology. He began removing his uniform jacket. Underneath, he wore only a simple gray shirt and pants. You're welcome to scan me. You'll find no technology inside my body except a standard translator implant. Several delegates activated their scanning devices. Holographic displays appeared showing the results. One delegate, a floating orb of contained plasma named Varix, spoke with a voice like crackling fire. The scans confirm it. No enhancement technology, but his bone density is remarkable. His muscle fiber structure is incredibly efficient. His cardiovascular system operates at pressures that would rupture most biological systems. That's just normal for us, Minho said casually. He walked to the center of the platform where a testing area had been set up. Various equipment sat ready, all calibrated to galactic standard measurements. The first test was simple. A weight measurement device sat on the floor. Beside it was a bar made of compressed metal, used across the galaxy for strength testing. The bar weighed 100 kilograms at standard gravity. Most species could lift about half their body weight in Earth's gravity. For humans, this would be considered embarrassingly weak. Minho approached the bar and lifted it with one hand. He held it steady, showing no sign of effort. 100 kilograms, Minho announced. This is what human children use for basic exercise training. Adults use much heavier weights. He set down the bar and picked up another one. This one weighed 200 kilograms. He lifted it over his head with both hands, pressing it up and down repeatedly. This is a moderate workout weight for human soldiers. The Mothrine delegate's leaves had turned a pale color. Impossible. That weight would shatter my internal structure. Minho set down the weight and moved to the next station. This one tested endurance. A treadmill had been set up, calibrated to measure running speed and duration. What is the galactic average for distance running? Minho asked. Varix replied. Most species can run approximately 5 kilometers before exhaustion at standard gravity. The galactic record is 12 kilometers, I see, Minho said. He stepped onto the treadmill and began running. The display showed his speed, 15 kilometers per hour. He maintained this pace effortlessly, his breathing steady and controlled. After 10 minutes, he increased the speed to 20 kilometers per hour. After 20 minutes, he increased it again to 25 kilometers per hour. The delegates watched in silence. Minho's body moved like a machine, each stride perfect. Sweat appeared on his skin, but his pace never wavered. After 40 minutes, he had covered 30 kilometers. He finally stopped the treadmill and stepped off, breathing heavily but still standing strong. Human soldiers regularly run 50 kilometers during training, he said between breaths. Some can run over 100 kilometers in a single day. We call these people marathon runners, and they do it for fun. Thalen's scales had lost their blue color, turning almost gray. This is not normal biology. This is impossible. It's not impossible, a new voice said. Everyone turned to see a woman in a white coat walking onto the platform. Jiwon introduced her. This is scientist Yoonji, our chief medical researcher. Yoonji carried a datapad and several medical instruments. Director Krill, may I have permission to explain human biology? Krill gestured for her to continue. Yoonji activated a holographic display. The human body is designed for something called persistence hunting. We evolved to chase prey animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. This required several adaptations. She pointed to a diagram of human anatomy. First, our cooling system. Humans sweat. We secrete water through millions of pores in our skin. This allows us to cool down while running. Most animals on Earth cannot do this. They must stop to cool down. Humans never need to stop. The hologram changed to show a human cardiovascular system. Second, our heart and lungs. The human heart beats approximately 70 times per minute at rest. During exercise, it can beat over 200 times per minute. It pumps blood at pressures that would damage most biological systems. Our lungs process oxygen with incredible efficiency. Another image appeared showing human leg muscles. Third, our leg structure. Human legs contain the largest muscles in our body. The gluteus maximus, the muscle in our posterior, is the strongest muscle we have. It evolved specifically for running. Our Achilles tendon acts like a spring, storing and releasing energy with each step. This makes human running incredibly efficient. Yoonji paused and looked around the chamber. But the most important adaptation is in our brain. Humans can ignore pain. We can push our bodies beyond what should be safe. We can make ourselves continue when every instinct says to stop. This is not normal in galactic biology. She gestured to Minho. Captain, please show them your scars. Minho removed his shirt. His torso was covered in scars. Long white lines crossed his chest and back. Burn marks dotted his shoulders. What looked like puncture wounds marked his abdomen. Each of these injuries would have killed most species in this chamber, Yoonji said. But humans heal. Our bodies regenerate tissue. Broken bones knit back together, often becoming stronger at the breakpoint. Damaged organs repair themselves. We survive injuries that would mean certain death for others. She pulled up medical data on her holographic display. I have here the galactic database of diseases. There are over 10,000 known pathogens that affect multiple species. Humans are immune to 9,000 of them. The remaining 1,000 cause minor illness at most. What you call plague diseases, we call the common cold, something that makes us sneeze for a few days. The chamber was completely quiet except for the hum of the environmental systems. Yoonji continued, the human immune system is aggressive. When a pathogen enters our body, our immune cells don't just destroy it. They remember it, forever. If that same pathogen ever returns, our body destroys it before we even notice we were exposed. We call this immunity, and it's why humans can travel to any planet without fear of disease. A delegate from the Vraxian species stood up. The Vraxians looked like large insects with crystalline shells. Are you saying humans are immune to all diseases? Not all, Yoonji admitted. But our immune system is so aggressive that it sometimes attacks our own body by mistake. We have diseases caused by our immune system being too strong. This is unique in galactic biology. Most species have problems with weak immune systems. Humans have problems with immune systems that are too powerful. She looked at Minho. Captain, one more demonstration, please. Minho nodded. He walked to a table where several items sat under protective covers. He removed one cover, revealing what looked like a small crystal. This is a sample of Keltharian spice plant. For Keltharians, this is a delicacy. For most other species, it causes severe allergic reactions. For humans, he picked up the crystal and put it in his mouth. He chewed and swallowed. Several delegates made sounds of alarm. Thalen stood up, his scales rattling. That will kill you. The toxins in that plant cause respiratory failure. Minho waited. 10 seconds passed, 20, 30, nothing happened. Tastes spicy, he said. A bit like what we call pepper. I rather like it, Yoonji smiled. The human digestive system can process almost anything organic. We evolved eating a huge variety of foods. Plants, animals, fungi, even some minerals. Our stomach acid has a pH of less than 2. This is strong enough to dissolve metal. It kills most bacteria and breaks down toxins that would poison other species. She pulled up another holographic display. This is a comparison of human capabilities versus galactic averages. Humans are 3 times stronger. We have 5 times the endurance. Our reaction time is twice as fast. We heal 4 times faster. The council chamber was massive. It stretched so far that the ceiling disappeared into artificial clouds. Hundreds of alien species sat in their designated seats, their bodies ranging from floating gas clouds to crystalline structures that hummed with inner light. The room buzzed with countless languages, all translated instantly by the neural implants every council member wore. Ambassador Jiwon stood at the entrance, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Her heart hammered in her chest, but her face remained calm. Today would change everything. Today, humanity would stop hiding. She walked down the long pathway toward the central platform. Her footsteps echoed despite the noise. One by one, the alien delegates noticed her approach. The buzzing conversations began to fade. By the time she reached the speaking platform, the chamber had fallen completely silent. The platform rose beneath her feet, lifting her high enough for all to see. Thousands of eyes, sensors, and perception organs focused on her. Some species saw in infrared, others in ultraviolet, and some perceived reality in ways humans couldn't understand, but they all watched her now. Honored delegates, Jiwon began, her voice carried by the chamber's amplification system. I come before you with an urgent matter. Humanity must make a confession. A ripple of confusion spread through the audience. The Mathrene delegate, a being that looked like a walking tree with bioluminescent leaves, leaned forward. A confession, Ambassador? Has your species violated the treaty? No, Jiwon said. But we have hidden something important. Something that could affect the entire council's security. The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Council Director Krill, a tall being with 4 arms and skin like polished metal, raised one hand. Silence fell again. Speak plainly, human. What have you hidden? Jiwon took a deep breath. We have hidden our planet's true name. The name Earth is a translation, but not an accurate one. Our oldest military archives contain the original designation given to our world by our ancestors. And Krill's metallic face showed no expression, but his voice carried an edge. The accurate translation in Galactic Standard Language is Deathworld Prime. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then the chamber exploded with noise. Delegates shouted in hundreds of languages. Some stood from their seats. Others activated emergency communication devices to contact their homeworlds. Silence. Krill's voice boomed through the chamber, enhanced to a volume that made the walls vibrate. Slowly the noise died down. Ambassador Jiwon, this is a serious claim. Deathworld classifications are reserved for planets that actively kill visitors. Planets with gravity that crushes bones, atmospheres that dissolve flesh, or predators that cannot be stopped. Are you claiming Earth is such a place? Yes, Jiwon said simply. A laugh erupted from the Keltharian section. Ambassador Thalen, a being with 6 legs and a body covered in blue scales, stood up. Absurd, we have visited Earth, many species have. It is pleasant, warm, full of water and life. Perhaps a bit heavy in gravity, but hardly a death world. Jiwon touched the control panel built into the speaking platform. A holographic display appeared above her head, visible to everyone in the chamber. Let me show you why our ancestors gave Earth that name. The first image appeared. It showed a cross-section of Earth's interior. Our planet's core is molten metal. The temperature at the center reaches 6,000 degrees. The surface we live on is just a thin crust floating on an ocean of liquid rock. This crust breaks apart regularly, causing earthquakes that level our cities and volcanic eruptions that block out the sun for years. The Mathrene delegate's leaves dimmed. Surely your species has technology to prevent this. We cannot prevent it, Jiwon said. We can only survive it. We build our cities knowing they might be destroyed, and we rebuild them in the same places. The next image showed Earth's atmosphere. Our air contains 21% oxygen. For most of you, this is poison. It causes oxidation reactions that would corrode your biological systems. For silicon-based species, our atmosphere would dissolve your bodies in hours. Thalen's scales rippled, a sign of unease. We wear protective suits. This is not unusual. True, Jiwon agreed. But let me show you what lives in our oceans. The hologram changed. A massive creature appeared, bigger than most ships in orbit. It had a streamlined body and a mouth full of teeth longer than a person. This is what we call a whale shark. It is one of the gentler creatures in our oceans. It eats only small organisms, she changed the image. This is a great white shark. It is a predator that has remained unchanged for millions of years because its design is perfect for killing. Its bite force exceeds 10,000 newtons. For comparison, This would crush the bones of 90% of species in this chamber. Another image. This is a saltwater crocodile. It can hold its breath for hours while waiting for prey. Its jaws exert the strongest bite force of any creature on Earth. It can tear limbs from bodies with ease. The chamber was completely silent now. Jiwan continued, showing image after image. Lions that hunted in coordinated packs, bears that could run faster than most species' vehicles, snakes with venom that could kill in minutes, spiders that could survive in space, bacteria that thrived in boiling water or frozen ice. Every continent on Earth has predators, Jiwan said. The land, the sea, the sky, all filled with creatures designed to kill. And this is just the animal life. Our plants can be equally dangerous. Some produce toxins that cause paralysis. Others have thorns that inject chemicals causing pain so severe that victims have been known to go mad. She paused, letting the information sink in. But the deadliest thing on Earth is not the animals or plants. It is the planet itself. A new image appeared showing a massive storm system. This is what we call a hurricane. Winds reach speeds of 300 kilometers per hour. They can destroy entire cities. We get dozens every year. Another image. This is a tornado. It appears with little warning and can tear buildings from their foundations. The winds inside can exceed 500 kilometers per hour. This is a tsunami, a wall of water 30 meters high, moving at the speed of a jet aircraft. It can travel across entire oceans and strike coastlines with the force of multiple nuclear weapons. Jiwan looked around the chamber. Every delegate sat frozen, watching the images. Earth has killed 99% of every species that ever lived there. Not through war. Not through disease alone, through simple existence. Ice ages that froze the planet. Asteroid impacts that blocked out the sun for decades. Volcanic eruptions that poisoned the air, earthquakes, floods, droughts, plagues. She deactivated the hologram, and humanity survived it all. We evolved in this environment. We adapted to it. We learned to thrive in conditions that would kill most of you within days. Thalen found his voice. This is clearly exaggerated. If Earth is so deadly, how do you have tourists? How do other species visit safely? Because we make it safe, Jiwan said. Every visiting area is carefully controlled. The gravity is reduced using field generators. The atmosphere is filtered. The temperature is regulated. Dangerous animals are kept away. You never see the real Earth, you see the version we show you. The sanitized version. She looked directly at Krill. We hide it because we feared this reaction. We feared you would see us as monsters, as creatures too dangerous to exist alongside civilized species. But we can no longer hide the truth. Not when the galaxy needs to know what humanity really is. Krill's metallic face remained unreadable. And what is humanity, Ambassador? Jiwan smiled, and there was something in that smile that made several delegates unconsciously move back in their seats. We are the species that looked at Deathworld Prime and called it home. We are the species that thrived where 99% of life failed. We are Earth's children, and we are stronger than you know. The chamber remained silent for a long time after she finished speaking. We can survive in temperature ranges that span one. When the council reconvened after the recess, the atmosphere felt different. Delegates who had seemed friendly before now sat with visible space between themselves and the human section. Some had activated personal shields that shimmered faintly in the air. Others wore additional protective equipment that they hadn't bothered with before. Fear had replaced curiosity in the chamber. Council Director Krill called the session to order with a gesture of his metal hands. The chamber fell silent immediately. The Council has reviewed the demonstrations provided by humanity. While impressive, they show only current human capabilities. We need historical context. How did your species become this way? What does your history tell us about your nature? Can we trust that you won't use these capabilities against us? Ambassador Jiwan stood from her seat and bowed respectfully. To answer those questions properly, I would like to introduce historian Do-hyun. He has spent his entire career studying human development and evolution. He can provide the context you seek better than anyone else. An older man walked onto the central platform with measured steps. Unlike the military personnel who had demonstrated earlier, he moved slowly and deliberately. His hair was completely gray and deep lines marked his face, evidence of many years spent in study and contemplation. But his eyes were sharp and intelligent, missing nothing as he surveyed the assembled delegates. He carried himself with quiet dignity, the bearing of someone who had dedicated his life to understanding truth. He bowed to the council. showing respect to every section of the massive chamber. "Thank you for this opportunity to speak," Do-hyun began, his voice calm and measured. "Human history is long and often violent. To truly understand what humanity is, you must understand where we came from and what shaped us into what we are today." He activated the holographic display with practiced ease. An image of Earth appeared above him, but it looked vastly different from the images shown earlier. Ice covered most of the land masses. The oceans were smaller. The entire planet appeared frozen and hostile. "This was Earth approximately 70,000 years ago," Do-hyun explained, gesturing to the frozen world. "Our planet entered what we call an ice age. Global temperatures dropped by 20 degrees. Most of the planet became completely uninhabitable for warm-blooded life. Food became incredibly scarce. Water froze solid. Many species that had thrived for millions of years went extinct in just a few generations." The image shifted to show small groups of primitive humans huddled in caves. They looked fragile, vulnerable, nothing like the powerful beings that stood in the council chamber today. Humanity nearly died during this time. Our population dropped to perhaps 10,000 individuals across the entire planet. We should have gone extinct like so many other species. By all logical predictions, we should not be standing here today, but we didn't die. "Do you know why we survived when so many others failed?" No one in the chamber answered. The silence stretched on. Do-hyun smiled slightly, a teacher waiting patiently for students to think. "We survived because humans are fundamentally stubborn. We refused to accept death. We looked at a world trying to kill us and said no. We learned to make fire by striking rocks together, giving us warmth and protection. We learned to preserve food through drying and smoking, allowing us to survive when hunting was impossible. We created clothing from animal skins, protecting our bodies from temperatures that should have killed us. We invented increasingly sophisticated tools to hunt prey larger and more dangerous than ourselves. We developed complex language to share knowledge between groups and across generations. We survived by becoming smarter, tougher, and more adaptable than anything else on Earth." The holographic image shifted forward in time. It showed humans spreading out from a single region, moving across vast distances. As the ice eventually retreated over thousands of years, humans migrated. We walked out of our origin continent and spread across the entire world. We crossed frozen wastelands where temperatures dropped to 50 degrees below zero. We crossed burning deserts where the sand could cook flesh. We traveled through dense jungles filled with predators and diseases. We climbed mountain ranges so high that the air became too thin to breathe properly. We reached every continent on Earth, adapting to every environment we encountered. The image showed humans in different regions, their appearances varying. Humans in cold regions developed lighter skin to absorb more of the limited sunlight for vitamin production. Humans in hot regions developed darker skin for protection against intense solar radiation. Our body shapes changed to suit our environments. But despite these physical variations, we remained one species, able to breed with each other, sharing the same fundamental nature and capabilities. We never split into separate species despite being separated for thousands of years. A new set of images appeared showing ancient human settlements, simple structures made of mud and stone. Approximately 10,000 years ago, humanity invented agriculture. We stopped being nomadic hunters who followed animal herds and became farmers who stayed in one place. This seems like a peaceful development, but it was actually another form of war against nature itself. We refused to accept what Earth gave us naturally. We forced the planet to give us food on our terms. We took wild plants and bred them over generations until they produced more food. We took wild animals and domesticated them, making them serve our needs. We transformed entire landscapes from wilderness into farmland. We redirected rivers. We cut down forests. We reshaped Earth's surface to suit ourselves. Do-hyun paused and looked around the chamber slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as his gaze could reach. But peace among humans never lasted long. Humans fought each other constantly and brutally. We fought over land and resources and trade routes. We fought over religious beliefs and philosophical ideas. We fought over pride and honor and revenge. Our entire recorded history is written in blood and marked by conflict. Let me show you what I mean. The hologram displayed a timeline stretching across thousands of years. Red marks appeared along it like drops of blood, each representing a war or major conflict. There were thousands upon thousands of them, so many that they almost formed a solid line. This represents human history for the last 5,000 years. Each red mark indicates a war or significant conflict. Some lasted only days or weeks, some lasted decades or even centuries, some killed thousands, others killed millions. We have never known true peace. There has never been a moment in recorded human history when some group of humans wasn't fighting another group somewhere on Earth. He zoomed in on specific conflicts, making them larger and more detailed. This period represents what we call the Mongol conquests. One man, a warrior and leader named Genghis, united the nomadic tribes of Central Asia through force and charisma. He created an empire that eventually stretched across most of the known world at that time. His armies killed an estimated 40 million people. That represented approximately 11% of the entire global population. Imagine 1 in 10 people dying in war. That was the reality of this period. The image shifted to show a more recent conflict. This was what we call World War I, a conflict that engulfed most of our planet and drew in nearly every major human nation. 20 million people died. 21 million more were wounded, many permanently disabled. Entire nations threw whole generations of young men into what we called trench warfare. Soldiers charged across open ground into automatic weapons fire, knowing with absolute certainty that they would die, and they charged anyway, following orders, fighting for their nations, refusing to surrender or retreat even when retreat was the only logical choice. The image changed again, showing an even more devastating conflict. World War II followed just 20 years after the First World War ended. 85 million people died, both soldiers and civilians. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were reduced to rubble and ash. Entire populations were systematically exterminated based on religion or ethnicity. The scale of destruction was almost incomprehensible. And in the middle of this war, while fighting for survival, humanity achieved something remarkable and terrible. The hologram showed a massive mushroom cloud rising into the sky. Several delegates in the chamber made sounds of distress or alarm. We split the atom. We discovered how to break apart the fundamental building blocks of matter and release the energy contained within. We looked at the most powerful force in the universe and immediately weaponized it. We created bombs that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We called them atomic weapons, and they represented power on a scale previously unimaginable. Do-hyun's voice became quieter, more somber, and we used them. Not once, but twice. We dropped atomic weapons on cities full of civilians. The immediate death toll exceeded 200,000 people. Many more died slowly from radiation poisoning over the following months and years. The survivors carried the scars for the rest of their lives. He let that information hang in the air for a long moment before continuing. After the war ended, you might think humans learned their lesson and destroyed these terrible weapons. We didn't. We made more of them. Thousands more. We made them bigger and more powerful. We created weapons. Ambassador Soman stood on the platform, her posture straight and formal. The council chamber felt colder now, as if the environmental control systems had somehow responded to the fearful mood filling the massive space. Every delegate watched her with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. The revelations about humanity's violent nature had shaken them all, and now there was more to come. Before I explain the specific threat facing the council, Soman said carefully, you need to understand why humanity has been hiding our true nature for so long. It wasn't deception for its own sake. We didn't hide who we are because we enjoy lying or because we wanted to trick you. It was protection. Protection for you, and protection for ourselves. Let me explain what I mean. She activated the holographic display system with a gesture. Images appeared showing early human contact with various alien species. Happy meetings, diplomatic exchanges, trade agreements being signed. When humanity first developed faster-than-light travel and left our solar system, we were incredibly excited. For our entire existence as a species, we had been alone in the universe. We looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone else was out there. And then we found you. We found dozens of intelligent species. We weren't alone anymore. It was the most profound moment in human history. The images shifted to show different reactions from various species. Some welcomed humans warmly. Others seemed hesitant or frightened. A few turned humans away entirely. But we quickly learned that most species were afraid of us. Not because we had threatened anyone or acted aggressively, but because of what we represented fundamentally. We were too strong physically, too aggressive psychologically, too adaptable in unexpected situations. Several species refused all contact with us after initial meetings. Others demanded strict limitations on where humans could travel and what we could do. A new image appeared, showing an official-looking document covered in alien script and multiple signatures. Someone pointed to it. This is the Keltharian containment proposal from 50 years ago. It called for humanity to be permanently confined to Earth and our immediate solar system. No expansion to other worlds. No colonization of new planets. No unrestricted travel through galactic space. Only supervised trade with approved species under controlled conditions. Essentially, we would have been prisoners in our own home system, watched constantly to ensure we didn't spread. Ambassador Thalen's scales rippled uncomfortably. His blue color had faded to an unhealthy gray. That proposal never passed the council vote. It failed to achieve the necessary majority. Yes, it failed, Somin agreed, nodding slowly. But it came terrifyingly close to passing. Very close. We studied the vote tallies afterward. If 3 more delegates had voted differently, humanity would have been quarantined. We realized then that if we wanted to be part of the larger galactic community, if we wanted to have allies and trade partners and friends among the stars, we needed to appear less threatening. We needed to seem smaller and weaker than we actually were. She paused, looking around the chamber at all the assembled species. So we made ourselves appear smaller. We hid our full military capabilities. We downplayed our physical strength and endurance. We pretended our technology was less advanced than it really was. We acted weaker and more vulnerable than we were. We let you think we were just another species trying to find our place among the stars, no different from dozens of others. We became what you needed us to be so you wouldn't fear us. Her voice became softer, more emotional. And we did this because we genuinely wanted peace. Yes, human history is full of violence and warfare. That's all true, as historian Dohyun explained. But we've also learned important lessons from that violent history. We've seen what happens when aggression goes unchecked and uncontrolled. We've touched the edge of complete extinction and chosen to pull back from that edge. We've learned that cooperation achieves more than conquest in the long term. We don't want more war. We want friendship, cooperation, mutual growth, and benefit. We want to be more than just the sum of our violent past. We want to build something better. The hologram changed to show research data and psychological studies. Complex charts and graphs filled the air above the platform. This is research from our best behavioral scientists and psychologists. It explains something fundamental about human psychology and nature. Humans find deep meaning and purpose in struggle and challenge. We need obstacles to overcome to feel truly fulfilled and alive. On Earth, simply surviving was our challenge for hundreds of thousands of years. Every day was a struggle against a hostile environment. In space, we thought exploration and discovery would provide enough challenge to satisfy this need. And it does partially, but exploration alone isn't quite enough. She looked directly at several delegates who seemed most afraid. What truly satisfies humans is protecting others, fighting for something beyond ourselves. We're at our best when we have something worth defending, someone who needs our strength and capabilities. This isn't just sentiment or philosophy. It's been proven through psychological studies and historical analysis. Humans who protect others are happier, healthier, more fulfilled than those who fight only for themselves or for conquest. Engineer Taewon walked onto the platform carrying a large metal case. He was younger than most of the other humans, with an eager expression and quick movements. Director Krill, may I demonstrate something important? Krill gestured his permission with one metal hand. Taewon set down his case and opened it carefully. He pulled out what looked like a simple tool, nothing impressive or threatening at first glance. This is a standard human engineering multi-tool. Nothing special or military grade, just what every human engineer carries for basic maintenance and repair work. He activated the device and various implements extended from the central handle. Cutting blades, gripping claws, heating elements, scanning devices, all compact and efficient. Now please watch carefully, Taewon said. He walked to the edge of the platform where a section of the chamber's wall panel was exposed for maintenance access. The wall was made of a material used throughout the galaxy, strong enough to withstand micrometeorite impacts, radiation exposure, and extreme temperature variations. It was considered extremely durable by galactic standards. Taewon pressed his simple tool against the wall material. Within just seconds, he had cut completely through it, leaving a clean hole. Several delegates jumped back in their seats with alarm. Some activated personal shields instinctively. Taewon quickly deactivated the tool and bowed apologetically. I'm sorry for startling you. That wasn't my intention. But I needed to make an important point about human technology. This tool is designed to function on Earth, where everything is harder, denser, and more resistant than elsewhere in the galaxy. Materials and equipment that work reliably in Earth conditions are massively overbuilt for use anywhere else. They cut through galactic standard materials like a hot knife through soft butter. He pulled out more items from his case, arranging them carefully on a small table. A power cell, a communication device, a portable scanner, a medical kit. Every single piece of standard human technology is built to survive Earth's hostile conditions. Temperature swings of 100 degrees or more between day and night. Gravity strong enough to crush equipment designed for lighter worlds. An atmosphere that corrodes and oxidizes standard components. Water and moisture that gets into everything, despite best efforts to seal it out. Animal life that might damage or even eat equipment left unattended. And humans themselves who might drop equipment, hit it against things, or otherwise abuse it during normal use. Taewon activated each device in turn, demonstrating their capabilities. These devices have approximately 3 times the power storage capacity of galactic standard equipment. They operate reliably in environmental conditions that would destroy or disable normal equipment within hours. They have redundant backup systems, so if one component fails, others can take over. They have self-repair mechanisms for minor damage. They can continue functioning even when partially broken or damaged. Because on Earth, if your equipment fails at a critical moment, you die. It's that simple. So we build everything to be nearly indestructible. He looked around the chamber seriously. Human technology isn't superior because we're necessarily smarter or more creative than other species. It's superior because our world demanded excellence. We had to innovate constantly or die. Every human tool, every human machine, every human system has been refined through countless generations of survival pressure. Weakness was eliminated. Flaws were corrected. Only what worked perfectly remained. Military advisor Yuna stepped forward next. She was tall for a human woman, with short dark hair and numerous visible scars marking her arms and neck. Her movements were controlled and precise, like a predator always aware of its surroundings. Now let me tell you about humanity's actual military capabilities, what we call our peacekeeping forces and defensive fleets. She activated a new holographic display showing organizational charts and numerical data. Humanity maintains what we call standing military forces, professional soldiers who train constantly for warfare. Every human nation and colony maintains armed forces. Some are larger than others depending on population and resources, but all maintain military capability. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted in hundreds of different languages, creating a wall of sound that even the sophisticated translation systems struggled to process clearly. Some delegates stood from their seats gesturing wildly as they argued with neighbors. Others activated emergency communication devices to contact their homeworlds for guidance. A few sat in stunned silence, overwhelmed by everything they had learned. The comfortable order of the Galactic Council had been shattered completely by humanity's revelations. Council Director Krill raised all 4 of his metal arms high in a dramatic gesture demanding attention. The movement was striking enough that conversation slowly died down across the massive chamber. It took nearly 5 minutes for silence to fully return. The council will now vote on the human question, Krill announced, his voice amplified to fill every corner of the chamber. 3 options are before us. Should humanity be expelled completely from the Galactic Council? Should they be quarantined and restricted to their current territories with no further expansion? Or should they remain as full members with all associated rights and responsibilities? Ambassador Thalen stood immediately, almost jumping from his seat. His scales had turned a dark, aggressive color that indicated extreme agitation and anger in Keltharian body language. I move for immediate and permanent expulsion. Humanity has proven itself far too dangerous for peaceful coexistence with other species. They've deliberately lied to us for decades about their true nature. They've hidden their military strength and capabilities. They've concealed their violent tendencies and aggressive psychology. They cannot be trusted under any circumstances. They represent a threat to every peaceful species in this chamber. Several delegates voiced loud agreement, calling out their support. The Mothrine representatives stood as well, their bioluminescent leaves pulsing with distressed colors. I second the motion for expulsion. The humans have demonstrated physical and technological capabilities that threaten every species present here today. They should be confined strictly to their home system until they evolve beyond their violent tendencies and aggressive nature. This evolutionary development may take thousands or even millions of years, but it's absolutely necessary for galactic safety and peace. We cannot allow such dangerous beings to roam freely among peaceful civilizations. Ambassador Jiwan remained standing calmly on the central platform, her expression neutral and controlled. She had expected exactly this reaction. She had prepared herself mentally for rejection and hostility, but hearing species she had worked alongside for years, species she had considered friends and allies, call for humanity's permanent exile still caused deep pain. It hurt in ways she hadn't fully anticipated. Before any vote is taken, a new voice called out clearly, cutting through the murmuring conversations. It was Varix, the plasma being whose body consisted of contained superheated gas. I wish to present additional information to the Council. Critical information that should be considered before such a momentous decision is made. Krill gestured with one metal hand for Varix to continue and present their information. The plasma orb floated gracefully to the center of the chamber, leaving a faint trail of heat shimmer in the air behind it. I have been reviewing historical records during the recess. Specifically, detailed records of military encounters between various galactic species and the Vrakan Empire over the last 50 years. I discovered something extremely interesting and relevant. A holographic display materialized, showing columns of incident reports and battle summaries. Over the last 5 decades, there have been 312 documented military encounters between Vrakan forces and ships from various galactic species. These range from small skirmishes to larger battles. Of those encounters, 267 resulted in the complete destruction or capture of the non-Vrakan vessels involved. 28 encounters resulted in successful escapes by non-Vrakan forces, usually due to superior speed or advance warning. Only 17 encounters resulted in the Vrakan forces retreating or being destroyed. The Vrakan have an 85% victory rate against galactic forces. Varix paused deliberately, allowing that disturbing statistic to sink into every mind present. Now examine this carefully. There have been exactly 12 documented encounters between Vrakan military forces and human vessels over the same time period. All 12 encounters resulted in either Vrakan retreat or complete destruction of Vrakan ships. Not a single human vessel was lost or captured, not one. Humans have a 100% success rate against the Vrakan. The chamber erupted in surprised chatter and exclamations. Varix continued speaking over the noise.
I investigated this anomaly further by accessing intercepted Vrakan communications through various intelligence sources.
I found internal military communications between Vrakan commanders. They have a specific designation for human-controlled space. They call it the Forbidden Zone. Vrakan military vessels are explicitly ordered to avoid all human territory under penalty of severe punishment. A new document appeared in the holographic display, text scrolling slowly for all to read. Varix read aloud from it. This is an official Vrakan military directive issued approximately 10 years ago. I will translate the most relevant section for clarity. All vessels under Imperial command are to maintain a minimum distance of 10 light years from all territories designated as human space. Direct engagement with human forces is strictly prohibited without explicit prior authorization from the High Command itself. The Death Worlders have proven themselves unpredictable and extremely dangerous in combat. They do not follow normal tactical patterns. They do not surrender under any circumstances. They do not retreat even when facing certain destruction. They attack with suicidal aggression and destroy targets far beyond their theoretical weight class. Avoid contact at all costs unless absolutely necessary. Complete silence fell over the chamber. Every delegate sat frozen, processing this unexpected information. Ambassador Thalen's scales were rippling with visible confusion and uncertainty. The Vrakan Empire fears humans? The same empire that has conquered 40 systems fears a single species. Not just fear, Varix corrected carefully. They classify humans as an existential threat to the empire itself. There are internal reports of Vrakan military commanders being executed for even suggesting possible incursions into human-controlled space. The Vrakan have conquered 40 star systems over 50 years, but they have very carefully routed their entire expansion pattern around human territory. They're avoiding us deliberately because of what humans might do in retaliation. Security Chief Bowman stepped forward on the platform. He was a stocky older human with gray hair and a face marked by years of experience. If I may add supporting evidence, we've been monitoring Vrakan military communications for many years using various methods. We have numerous recordings of their internal military discussions specifically about humanity and human capabilities. He activated his personal data pad, and audio began playing through the chamber's sound system. A rough, guttural voice spoke in an alien language. The translation system rendered it into Galactic Standard Language. The Deathworlders are absolutely not to be engaged under any circumstances. I repeat, do not engage. High Command has thoroughly reviewed all available battle data from the border incident 15 years ago. 3 of our heavy cruisers attacked what appeared to be a single human cargo vessel. Initial scans indicated the human ship was designed for freight transport, not military combat. It had minimal visible weapon systems. Our commanders assumed easy victory. The humans still managed to destroy all 3 cruisers before their own ship was critically damaged and breaking apart. As their ship disintegrated around them, the surviving humans transmitted a final message to us. They said simply, "We will find you." Then they chose to die rather than allow themselves to be captured for interrogation. Another Vrakan voice spoke in the recording. What happened after that message? The humans kept their promise exactly. They found the Vrakan military base that had ordered the attack on their cargo ship. We still don't know how they located it. They sent a single warship. It arrived without any advance warning, bypassing all our detection systems. It destroyed the entire military installation in under 20 minutes and then departed. Over 3,000 trained Vrakan soldiers died. The human warship took no significant damage that we could detect. We don't know how they found our base location. We don't know how they destroyed a heavily fortified military installation so easily. We don't know why they stopped at destroying one base instead of continuing attacks on other targets. And that uncertainty terrifies High Command more than anything else. The recording ended with a click. Bauman looked around the chamber at the shocked faces. We have dozens of similar recordings in our intelligence archives. The Vrakan military discusses humanity the way most species might discuss a natural disaster or unstoppable force of nature. Something to be avoided at all costs, not something to be fought directly. They don't believe they can win a full-scale war against humanity. Delegate after delegate sat in stunned,